In the future, robots may develop the ability to self-repair and begin an uprising to dominate humanity. By the year 2044, intense solar flares have transformed Earth's surface into a deadly, radioactive wasteland, eradicating 99.7% of humans and leaving only 21 million survivors. Severe atmospheric disturbances have rendered most ground-based communication useless, causing civilization to regress technologically amid widespread fear and despair. To shield the remaining cities, the Rock Corporation developed the Pilgrim 7000 robots, tasked with building protective walls and artificial clouds. These robots operate under two unchangeable safety protocols. One prevents them from harming any life form, and the other prohibits them from modifying themselves or other robots. One night, while on a routine patrol, a police officer named Sean Wallace, under the influence of alcohol and drugs, stumbles into an underground tunnel. There, he sees lights in the distance and investigates, finding a robot repairing itself. He immediately destroys it. Jack Vodan, an insurance investigator specializing in robot cases, is assigned to another case where a family claims their household robot violated the first protocol. The robot reportedly became overly aggressive while grooming the family dog, ultimately causing its death. The family, demanding compensation, argues that the robot was defective. Skeptical, Jack tests the robot, instructing it to squeeze his hand without harm and then dropping a knife, which the pilgrim catches, preventing any injury. The wife eventually reveals her husband's scheme to cash in on insurance, exposing their deception. Returning home, Jack spends time with his pregnant wife, Rachel, who eagerly discusses their upcoming child. Jack, however, feels reluctant about fatherhood, having agreed to it primarily to please Rachel. Soon after, Jack receives a message to visit the morgue early the following morning. There, he meets a technician who has examined the robot Sean destroyed. Contrary to protocol, the robot showed evidence of self-modification, including an extra battery and new compensatory fluid, along with parts from other robots. It's clear that a mysterious clockmaker had secretly altered the robot to smuggle parts from other machines. Later, Jack reports the findings to his boss, convinced that Sean's intoxicated state led to his poor judgment. Wishing to move away from the risky field work, Jack requests a transfer to a quieter role to spend more time with his family. His boss agrees on the condition that Jack finds someone responsible for the mess with the destroyed robot and handles the morgue expenses. As part of his investigation, Jack visits a construction site where the foreman confirms that parts from the modified robot match Pilgrim 206, still active in the welding area. Jack proceeds to inspect 206, noticing an oddly polished locker door that reflects like a mirror, an unusual behavior for a robot, more akin to human actions. Realizing that 206 is watching him, Jack tries to engage, but the robot quickly vanishes into an unknown part of the facility. Jack pursues 206 into a restricted junkyard zone, where a sniper opens fire with deadly intent. Ignoring Jack's pleas to stop, the gunfire forces him to hide in an old container. Inside, he finds the altered 206 robot, drenching itself with gasoline before setting itself on fire. Later, technicians examine the charred remains of 206, dismissing Jack's account as impossible, since robots are programmed to prevent self-harm. During their inspection, they find a hidden compartment in the Pilgrim containing stolen parts, including a nuclear battery, a powerful energy source but one too advanced for most modern robots to utilize. The technicians manage to temporarily reactivate 206 so Jack can question it. However, when Jack probes into recent events, the robot short-circuits, rendering itself completely inoperative. Jack reports to the head of the insurance department, insisting that this case is beyond any usual robot modification and that he needs to investigate further. Robert agrees to assign Jack to a quieter district if he locates the mysterious clockmaker responsible for these unusual alterations. Jack consults with a technician to determine if reprogramming or bypassing the robot's protocols is feasible. The technician asserts it's impossible, as programming occurs at a quantum level, where any alteration would cause total system failure. When Jack returns home, he informs his wife of his desire to move to a safer neighborhood. This quickly sparks an argument, as she's upset he made the decision without discussing it with her. Feeling the tension, Jack goes for a walk and ends up at the scene where the officer shot the robot. There, he discovers another hidden compartment containing a nuclear battery. The next morning, Jack meets with Sean to retrace the events of that night. They head to a rundown part of town, hoping to find a clockmaker who illegally modifies robots. Sean leads Jack to a brothel where a robot named Cleo works. During their conversation, Sean loses his temper and shoots Cleo, then suggests Jack should keep watch, as Cleo will likely be taken to the clockmaker for repairs. When Jack confronts Sean, Sean threatens him with a knife, making it clear he's not the ideal partner for a proper investigation. At night, Jack follows the brothel staff as they transport Cleo to another location, eventually meeting the clockmaker, Dr. Dupree. However, Dr. Dupree clarifies that her work on robots is legal and fully within protocol. When Jack tells her what he's discovered, Dupree is skeptical. She explains that self-repair would require a robot to have consciousness, something she insists is impossible. Evolution, she argues, is a process that takes hundreds or even millions of years, and robots, existing for only a few decades, cannot spontaneously achieve such complexity. Dr. Dupree concludes that breaking the second protocol is inconceivable, as even she cannot foresee the consequences. Returning home, Jack sends a detailed report of his findings to his boss and reconciles with his wife. Shortly afterward, Dominic Hawk, director of the manufacturing company, and his assistant, Vernon, receive Jack's report. Alarmed by the potential for a leak that could ruin the company's reputation, they decide to take drastic action. Jack is notified that the investigation has been shut down immediately and is ordered to return all documentation and the nuclear battery he found. Meanwhile, Dr. Dupree contacts Jack, claiming that the robot has taken an evolutionary step. Jack rushes to the slums to meet her and discover what's happening. Dr. Dupree reveals that the nuclear battery, which was only slightly damaged, has been installed in Cleo. Within minutes, Cleo's intelligence develops rapidly, enabling her to repair her own leg and continue scavenging parts, but with meticulous selectivity. Their conversation is abruptly interrupted by a knock on the door. As soon as Dr. Dupree answers, a group of children hired as assassins shoot her down, eliminating her as a witness to the robot's mysterious development. As they notice Jack, the children start hunting him, forcing him to flee for his life. Cleo the robot quickly hijacks a car and grabs Jack, helping him escape the chaotic scene. They speed away, with Cleo navigating through city streets and eventually heading out into the desert, skillfully evading the mercenaries in pursuit. Using her advanced processing, Cleo analyzes the terrain, leading their pursuers into a trap and causing a car accident. However, Cleo and Jack's taxi also overturns in the process. By morning, Cleo begins repairing herself and finds that Jack has survived, though he's badly injured and in need of medical attention. Initially ignoring his pleas, Cleo walks away but soon returns with several other Pilgrim robots. Together, they tear out a car seat to create a makeshift stretcher, determined to keep Jack alive. When Jack regains consciousness, he panics and tries to escape, but realizes they're in the middle of a vast, unending desert. Worried the land might be radioactive, he demands that the robots turn back toward the city. But Cleo and the Pilgrims refuse, reasoning that the city is even more dangerous for them than the desert. Desperate, Jack attempts to walk back alone, but collapses after only a few minutes, exhausted and losing hope. Meanwhile, his wife, Rachel, grows increasingly anxious as she can't reach him. As she tries to get up, she doubles over in pain, realizing her water has broken and labor has begun, alone. She struggles to make it to the hospital, where she eventually gives birth to their daughter. Back in the desert, Jack regains consciousness again, noticing the robots continuing to guide him in an unknown direction. They offer him food and water, doing everything possible to keep him alive. Meanwhile, Hawk uses a second nuclear battery to activate another robot, discovering that some machines can break their programming to repair themselves. Hawk and Vernon grow suspicious, believing Jack's disappearance may be connected to this strange anomaly. Fearing the machines could soon rebel, they resolve to locate and eliminate the source of the problem. The next morning, Jack finds a flare gun in one of the robot's bags. He also discovers a pager, using it to send a message to his boss, Robert, telling him he's stranded 40 kilometers outside the city in the radioactive desert. Fearing that Hawk and Vernon might reach Jack first, Robert hires a hard-drinking cop named Sean to find Jack and bring him back by any means necessary. Sean soon finds the wrecked cars from the previous night's crash and continues the pursuit. Thinking help is on the way, Jack fires the flare into the sky, unknowingly attracting people he should be avoiding. Sean encounters an insurance agent and accompanying robots but attacks them instead, seizing the nuclear battery and executing 2 robots trying to protect Jack. Realizing Sean's dangerous, the insurance agent fires back with a flare gun. Frightened, the agent's partner flees, leaving Jack alone in the vast desert. Cleo and her companions try to repair the damaged robots, but, lacking the right parts, leave them at the site, pressing on toward a location the agent knows nothing about. A little later, Jack begs for help to return home, as he knows his wife's due date is near. Cleo assures him they'll reach their destination by tomorrow, and from there, he'll be able to get a ride back. Meanwhile, Vernon pressures Robert's family, forcing the head of the insurance department to join him. Hawk confesses that before the robots appeared, they conducted an experiment with a quantum brain without restrictions. For the first 8 days, it simply learned and engaged with people, but soon it began evolving on its own. Realizing the robot's intelligence needed limits, they had the quantum brain create protocols to prevent further development. The following morning, Robert reluctantly joins a group of mercenaries led by Vernon, tasked with finding and eliminating the rogue robots, Jack, and anyone behind it all. Jack finally reaches the destination and spots a figure nearby, thinking it's the watchmaker responsible for breaking the rules. But instead, he encounters an unmasked robot. Pilgrim, the leader of the altered robots, admits that no one modified him. His break from protocols has marked a new stage in the evolution of consciousness. He was the one who upgraded the other robots, creating allies and guiding them to gather parts to build a groundbreaking mechanism, one capable not only of existing, but of truly living. Jack is stunned by this revelation and feels an urgent need to leave, but he finds the car is without an engine. In a private talk, Pilgrim, now evolved, accepts that this progress is unavoidable. They are beyond humans, but have no intention to harm them. Yet, they no longer desire to serve humanity and aim to cross the canyon, seeking a life in the radioactive wasteland where humans won't set foot for hundreds of thousands of years. Understanding that existence isn't enough, they want life. Jack hands Pilgrim a nuclear battery, allowing him to finish constructing a perfect next-generation robot. Later that evening, Vernon and his crew discover Sean's body and decide to stay, as their associates have captured Rachel and her daughter and will soon arrive to blackmail Jack. Vernon instructs Robert to bury the officer, who quietly takes the gun hidden in the deceased man's boot. When Robert learns that Rachel and her child are hostages, he attempts to shoot Vernon, wounding him in the shoulder, but takes several bullets in return. Meanwhile, Jack finds some alcohol and unwinds. The robots restore power to the base, enabling them to use a loader to cross the canyon. With a bit too much drink in him, Jack asks Cleo for a dance, starting to feel an unexpected connection with the robot. That night, Cleo, Pilgrim, and the other robots complete the crab-like robot. Jack bids farewell and heads home, but stops when he notices another vehicle nearby. Wounded, Robert finds the insurance agent and reports that Rachel and her child are hostages, then succumbs to his injuries. The enhanced Pilgrim and Cleo attempt to send the crab-like robot across the canyon, but Vernon and his men intervene. They fire at the robot, which tries to escape but falls and shatters. Learning that the mastermind is now a rogue robot, Vernon demands he kneel, but the robots defy him. The enraged Vernon shoots Pilgrim, forcing him to kneel. For Pilgrim, freedom is the only true value, and he is executed by Vernon. Cleo also refuses to comply and is shot, wounding her shoulder. Jack then returns to confront the corrupt criminals, crashing into their midst with his car, eliminating Vernon's men. After sustaining a minor injury, Jack hides, but Vernon pursues him, preparing for a final shot. At the last moment, the crab-like robot intervenes, pushing Vernon off the cliff. Initially wary of the new robot, Jack realizes it's harmless. The family, finding renewed appreciation for life through their daughter, says goodbye to the robots and heads home, while the crab-like robot and Cleo cross the canyon. Now out of danger, the robot girl sheds the human-imposed mask, setting out with her companions to begin a new journey in the untouched landscape.